Hi everyone, Jeff Cote here with boatingtechtalk.com, and today we're doing product box opening. We've got something that I'm kind of actually really excited about. This is a Xantrex XC2000 Pro Marine unit. This is a inverter that is built for the marine environment, and I'm actually going to be installing this inverter on my own boat. I got this inverter just last week, and we're going to be opening this for the first time together. So Xantrex is a really reputable manufacturer of inverter chargers. They've got a long history in that space, and they've come out with, they've had the XC2000 for a while now, but these are sort of improvements. They had the XC2000, XC2000 Pro, and now this is the XC2000 Marine. All right, with that everyone, again, Jeff Cote with boatingtechtalk.com, and we're gonna dive in. We're gonna open this box. So a little bit about this inverter while I do this. One of the things to think about is that this inverter is basically 2000 watts, but what's even cool about this one is it actually has a 100 amp 12 volt charger. This is significant. 100 amp is actually pretty big. And a lot of us are actually going to be buying an inverter charger, not necessarily just for the inverter, but because we want a significant charger to be able to recharge our batteries at the right charge rate. That's called CAR, charge acceptance rate. And this one here comes with a 100 amp charger. So that's pretty good. 2000 watt, but it can actually do peak of 4000. So for those large motor loads that are called inductive loads, you can do that, which is great. So with that, we're going to get a little bit started. All right, so I think this is going to do this properly here. All right, let me open it a little bit more. This also inverter, which is cool, has all these different charge profiles that you can do, right? All of us are not having the same batteries on our boat. There's a lot of choice out there, right? So you can have flooded, AGM, Firefly, lithium, or even custom charge profile. So we've actually installing previous models of this that had this capability. We're actually going in and we're actually programming right on the remote what we want for a charge profile for a smart charging profile. Okay, so with that, we're gonna open up a little bit. All right, look at this. Brand new, first time. All right, do you wanna come and have a look a little bit? Share with my excitement. So here we've got the manual and also these, I'm gonna show, this is for the AC coming in and out of the unit. They've made the unit white and blue, and I don't know if some of you remember, but Xantrex years ago basically had a line of inverter chargers that were called the Freedom line. So we got to be careful. These inverter chargers are not super light. They're not incredibly heavy, but they definitely do weigh, so just be careful. So you can actually see that up front on the display, you've got a remote panel. Now, obviously this is not remote, it's on the unit, but you can actually buy the identical remote and actually put it somewhere else on the boat. And we generally do that. So we don't actually, most of the time, we don't actually operate this unit at the control panel on the device, because most of us are gonna have these things buried, right? And they're not gonna be easy to find. Now, here's the cool part. I'm gonna turn this around and you can actually see that what we've got here, we actually have an NMEA 2000 port. This is exciting. This is finally where now the world of our electrical is actually coming together with our electronics. So you're gonna actually be able to integrate this into devices to see actually what's going on this inverter charger and seeing that maybe on your chart plotter or an MF, like maybe an instrument display or something else. So you don't have to only see what's happening on a remote panel, but you'll be able to actually get information from this device via the NMEA 2000 connector. It's the first time I've personally seen an inverter charger with an NMEA 2000 connection. Not to say it hasn't existed, I've never installed one, and this is gonna be the first time we're gonna do that. So if you're looking at the ports, so this is where, let's have a look. All right. Okay, neat. Look at this, not too hard. So if you're looking inside and you can see the positive and negative, and notice what they did, which is really good. They're actually labeling the positive and negative. The other thing too is notice they've got some plastic rings inside to stop for chafing, which is great. And then look at what they've done here for the AC side, right? Really easily, you can plug those in, you lift those up, and you're actually gonna go through these little openings. And these little openings actually have fittings that you can put in here, which is kind of neat. That's great. And so the AC is going to come on side. Wow, they even have a USB for testing, and they've got a battery temperature sensor, which the other ones didn't, which I'm a big fan of. So that's a battery temperature sensor for temperature compensating the charge profile. And this is a little port for connecting the remote panel. Really nice. Notice too, they did a good job with the lug for the chassis ground, which is great. And they even have a tiny little fuse inside the unit. Now, mind you, you got to remember, we're actually obviously going to be fusing this device at the battery, and we're also going to have an on-off disconnect switch, clearly. Chassis ground is right here. And then think about all these things that this thing can do, right? We talked about a 100 amp charger. We talked about custom charge profile, which is pretty neat, so that you can actually tailor it to the battery bank you have on your boat. It also enables you, because inverters can be connected to what's called a pass-through. So you can actually have this device seeing your AC loads, and it gives you the ability of not having to transfer between inverter and shore, but actually you can have a subset of your AC loads or all your AC loads go through this. And this has actually a 30 amp capability for pass-through, which is great. Again, this is pro. I mean, this is basically what you want out of an inverter. I think what I would say for people that are considering this inverter, the big thing would be that it's relatively compact, lightweight as well. You know, it's not that bad, right? So many of us are going to be able to actually find a place for this unit on our boat. And the reason why we're going to do that is to run these sort of, what are we going to do with an inverter? We're going to run refrigeration. We're going to maybe run laptop chargers, TVs, blender. Like I've actually run off the XC2000, a Nespresso machine. We had a little bit of a YouTube video on that. And that's what actually was running on my boat with an XC2000. This is the XC2000 Pro Marine. So I'm kind of anxious of putting that on board. And that's about it. Not too hard. Remember, when you're going to be sizing the cabling that are going to come on the DC side, clearly you're going to want to make sure that you include voltage drop. So most likely it's probably going to be 2-watt wiring. That's pretty big. It's the size of about a thumb. And then on the AC side, you're definitely going to want to have 10-3. So that's gauge 10 triplets, right? So you're going to have hot, neutral, and ground. And make sure also that the breaker that's sized for this is actually able to handle the current going to it. So you're going to actually have to change the breaker to probably a 30 amp breaker going in. And then this would feed the AC loads that potentially can also be run not only on shore power, but also on the inverter. It has low voltage disconnects that are customizable, which is great. It also can take a high charging voltage. So some batteries now, because of external regulators, are actually, when the alternator charging, are at 15.5 volts. It's not that they're overcharging, they're charging higher charge voltage to compensate for a lower battery temperature. So this actually allows tolerance for that so that you don't get these sort of annoying alarms and you're freaking out. This does that too. I mean, there's a lot more to talk about, but I am thrilled to have this installed on my boat. I cannot wait. I think it looks great, and it's a further refinement of the XC2000. So if you've got further questions on this product, post them down below. And thank you for geeking out with me with our product review here at boatingtechtalk.com. And thanks for watching from Jeff Cote.